I'll have to put a R8 collet in there and get me a little end mill, and we'll start cutting it out. Right, so we know that 0 on the y-axis is on a straight line between two holes. It's on the line between these two holes here. So all I need to do is, I've got a 3/16 end mill. Half of that's about 94 thousandths. So I need to move this object this way so that the end mill will be inside the line between those two. And then I can cut out the distance between them, and we'll have one side of our hex. Alright, so that's what we'll do. I guess you can see what I'm talking about there. Alright, I think you can see the action from here. This side of the hole, I just rotate the hole around. So while you take a nap, I will measure and see how much more I need to move the bit over to get the exact 3/4 inch size. Okay, there's the hex, and I moved in towards the center of the hole with my end mill, and I made cuts, and I eased up until I was trying to sneak up on exactly 0.750, and there it is now. That turns out to be the same size as a nut for a 1/2 inch bolt. Here's a nut for a 1/2 inch bolt. Fits right in there. Well, there. So that's exactly what I'll do to cut the other hole. I'm going to have two hexes in it, one here, one down at the end. But I'm not going to show cutting the other one because it'll be just exactly the same routine as this one. I guess these are probably the sloppiest two hex holes that I've ever made, but or at least so far. But I think they fit. This one fit the nut over there. Did burn it? Yes, it fits. Alright. So, I wasn't holding it right. Getting nervous, I guess. Anyway, the second one, the one I cut down here, moved on me. And if I hadn't had that whole 1/4 inch hole drilled in the center, I'd have had a harder time, but I used it to put a 1/4 inch drill rod down in from a chuck, and I moved the thing around until I got 2 or 3 of the holes, you know, that I drilled around it to all line up, and then I got back on track. But it almost ruined it, because when it moved, it wandered off into the corner here, looked too far. But at least it was, I could save it. So there you are. That's it for today. I'm going to go take a break, and we'll finish working on it maybe tomorrow. Okay, so we've got to start on making a vise handle. Of course, it needs beautification. I'll have to trim off, clean it up, give it a shape. And I've got this little guy right here. Now, after I made a ball turner, or a radius cutter, as people might call it, I wanted to see what shapes I could get, and this was my attempt to get the kind of a shape you would have on a machine handle. And I just left it on the bolt I made it on, because I figured I would be working on it again, and I am going to drill a hole in there, put a bolt in there, and machine the bolt to kind of fit the shape, and that'll be our handle for this guy here. Does that look alright, you guys? Well, let's get started. Okay, so we got a little dance back here, but you can see that little mark here. I said it, the center piece is within 1/1000th of total indicator run out, and if it's dancing a little on this end, I can't help that. So you can see that it is. Alright, the hole I'm drilling met up with a hole I drilled screw this thing on with. So I'll just stop right there, and we'll find the bolt that I'm going to put through it and try to unscrew this thing and put the bolt through it, and then we'll chuck it back up. Hopefully we'll chuck it back up. Alright, strap wrench. There we go, just a little pull of the strap wrench and let go. Actually, I think it did. Yes, it did. There we are. Not perfect, but it'll work. Alright, so I parted the thing off too soon. I hadn't yet made the recess in the end of it here, so I just brought it over here, wrapped the strap around it, and drilled it with that drill bit, and I think that'll make the recess quite well. I've also got the bolt that I'm going to put in there, and I rounded the head with the belt grinder. This was a regular bolt, but I put this thing in here and I ran him on the belt grinder till I got him down to the right size, about 5/16. Alright, so now we've got the bolt in the center, comes out the bottom, makes a nice smooth handle, and I'll drill and tap the handle where this goes. Okay, so I just drilled a hole in the end and threaded it 1/4 and it's starting to take shape. Okay, you can see that. Of course, I've got to beautify this thing. It's not going to be just a straight piece of metal. I got to make it look nice, you know. So that's my next step. Now, what I really wanted was a bright red speed handle, you know, and that's not what I got, because I didn't have any red paint, but I did have some green hammered metal paint. So that's what I put on it, and that's what we're going to use because it's what we got. But as you can see, it's a functional speed handle. Now, there was a lot of parts of this that went wrong. Things happened that I didn't like. Didn't have a lot of trouble cutting the hex in the middle of it. But when I got down to the end, I wasn't properly fastened down, and it moved. And it made a really ugly hex because the cutter went wild off into one direction there. So I've got one side of the hex, one of the flats, that's not perfect. In fact, probably a lot of this wrench is not perfect. I tried cutting all the little angles to make them hex looking kind of angles, and they're not exactly perfect either, and I got my handle a little off center. There's a lot of things wrong with it. I would say functionally it's 95% perfect. Visually, aesthetically, it's about 50%. So I guess 95% success on operation and 50% on looks. Oh well, there you go. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and push the like button and leave a comment. You can push the dislike button if you want to. It all counts the same, but it looks better if they're all likes. See you guys Sunday. Bye now.